Jesus the crucified. Amen. When I revisited those two chapters from the Gospel of John last week, I noticed how many characters are packed into a relatively short text. I know it didn't feel short, but it probably took Henry about 20 minutes to read the Passion aloud. That's shorter than a sitcom. And John, in that space of time, manages to cram in Judas, Jesus, the disciples, the soldiers and the officers of the temple, Annas, Caiaphas, the Jewish high council, Pilate, Pilate's soldiers, and three Marys. Mary, the mom of Jesus, Mary, the aunt of Jesus, and just plain old Mary Magdalene. That's scores of people, all jammed into this really fast-moving narrative. Few of the characters are fully developed. There just isn't time, but all of them are necessary to the story. By including so many characters in his passion, I get the sense that John is telling us there is room in this story for everybody, including you and me, whether we care to be part of it or not. In this rich cast of characters, we can find at least one figure that reflects a facet of who we are, or who we once were, or who we might one day become. Consider Pilate, for instance, and the pressure he faced. We have to give Pilate credit. He tried to find a way to set Jesus free, but the threats and insistence of powerful people eventually led Pilate to take the easy way out. Pilate plays the role of the detached bureaucrat, everybody's favorite, right? Who wants to dispense with the matter efficiently, carefully weighing all of the risks, especially the risks to him. Have you, though, ever been in a situation where strong forces were pushing you to make a decision you knew deep down was wrong? It probably was not something as severe as deciding whether somebody would die or not, at least I hope it wasn't. But in life there are so many little deaths, like social exclusion that we can inflict on people and that people can inflict on us, not because anyone deserves it, but because doing so seems like the path of least resistance. Have you ever dispensed with a situation like that, not caring so much about what was right as you cared about what was convenient? Welcome to Pilate's world. Then there are Pilate's soldiers, charged with crucifying Jesus. Crucifixion was a common form of punishment at that time for a wide range of activities. A dirty job, but somebody had to do it. Yet callous as these soldiers seem to have been, some small whisper of conscience must have been telling them it was wrong. Have you ever done a dirty job for someone else? Have you ever been cruel because the hardness of life has made you tough and callous? Have you ever ignored, by whatever means necessary, that still small voice urging you not to conform, not to comply with your orders no matter what the cost? Each of us, I suspect, in some small way has played the role of one of Pilate's soldiers at least once in our lives. I know I have. Have you ever felt threatened by Jesus and his radical actions and words like Annas and Caiaphas and their cohort did? Perhaps a particular act or a saying of his challenges a long-cherished political ideology or a well-settled theology about who God is, or at least who you think God should be. When Jesus threatens your status quo by insisting on major change, and you strive to diminish his influence over yourself and others, Annas and Caiaphas start to play a significant role in your life. Or perhaps more accurately, you begin to take on their role in the story. The only people who come out well in this tale are the trio of Marys and the anonymous disciple Jesus loved. They summoned the courage to go to witness a sight they did not want to see. They were there for Jesus. They exposed their love for Jesus. It was a risky choice. That little quartet near the foot of the cross could have gotten into trouble, guilt by association. The other 10 remaining disciples seemed to know that all too well. Nobody knows where they were at this crucial time and place, but we know where they were not. Sometimes we are like the 10, unable to come near the cross, while at the other times, grace empowers us to stand there like the 4 did, as a solemn witness to a death offered in exchange for our very lives. Then there is Jesus, a model of quiet dignity, wise and unashamed. He took the insults and the agony without a single word or gesture of complaint, just as Isaiah prophesied he would. He suffered to fulfill a purpose. He died to make a promise. His sacrifice was the most noble ever made. Jesus did it to rescue us from a life of futility so that we could become children of God, constantly forgiven and forgiving, freed from sin, to live with grace and hope and love and peace. Everything we are and everything we could hope to become has been made possible by Jesus on that cross. And every time we make a sacrifice to pass that gift along to others, Jesus plays a starring role in our lives, and we claim his character in the story. You know, the great irony in all of this is that for all the many varied characters included in the story John shares with us, the total number involved was probably no greater than 100 people. 100 people out of tens of thousands gathered in Jerusalem for the great feast of the Passover. The vast majority of the people never knew what happened. They were busy with other things. They were busy getting ready for the great feast. And to those few who noticed, it was just another crucifixion. Even among the direct participants, only a tiny handful would ever learn the true significance of the events of that day. But that tiny handful did not remain silent. As the psalmist professed, "My soul shall live for him, my descendants shall serve him. They shall be known as the Lord's forever. They shall come and make known to a people yet unborn the saving deeds that he has done." They told the story to whoever would listen, so that the memory would not die, so that the truth revealed on the cross of Jesus could be spread, so that new life might be available to any who want it. This is our role in the never-ending story. Our responsibility as disciples of Jesus crucified is to bring people to the foot of the cross that we have come to kneel before today. In our attempt to bring people to the foot of the cross, we will feel the fear of being different. And sometimes we will imitate the 11 disciples and run when faced with danger. There may be moments when we may feel scandalized by the cross and the message of transformation it brings. On those days, we might play the role of a conspirator, striving to suppress Jesus, not unlike Annas and Caiaphas and their colleagues. In our busyness, we may sometimes slip into the role of Pilate, trying to weigh the practical and political costs and benefits as we decide what to do with this perplexing man, Jesus. And in the end, we might, like him, detach ourselves as if it were none of our business. Yet grace abounds, even on this awful day. Grace abounds especially on this terrible day. And the grace that leads people to the foot of the cross is the love of Jesus, uncompromising and unconditional. The love of Jesus is why his mother and his aunt and Mary Magdalene and the unnamed disciple somehow made their way to the place where they least wanted to be. And the love of Jesus alive in us, working through us, can bring people to the place in life where when life is so fraught and confusing it finally starts to make a little sense. There are many characters portrayed in our most important of stories. The character from the story we choose to become shapes our moral and spiritual character. We can allow Jesus to play the starring role in our lives. Choose. There are many characters to pick from.